My name is Lena Hart, and the day my mother was buried was the day I stopped believing in family. The rain fell hard over the black umbrellas as I stood beside her grave, gripping a handful of cold soil, while everyone whispered about the one person who wasn't there, my father. He hadn't come to the funeral. Instead, he was seen across town at a hotel with a woman he'd been secretly seeing for years. People said he couldn't handle grief, but I knew better. He just couldn't handle guilt. When the ceremony ended, I watched the mourners leave, their umbrellas vanishing into the mist, and I promised myself one thing. I would make him face what he had done, even if it took everything I had. That night, when I returned to the house, it felt like a museum of broken memories. My mother's scent still lingered, lavender and paper from the books she loved, but every room felt hollow. On the kitchen table lay the last letter she had written, sealed in an envelope with my name on it. I opened it slowly, expecting comfort, but what I found instead were words that would change everything. She wrote, "Lena, if something happens to me, don't trust your father. There are things you don't know, things that will make sense one day. Be strong." My hands trembled. What could she have meant? I couldn't sleep that night. Every sound in the house echoed like a secret, every shadow whispered her warning. The next morning, I drove to my father's office downtown. He was already there, dressed in a perfect suit, sipping coffee like nothing had happened. When he saw me, his expression flickered between surprise and annoyance. "You shouldn't be here," he said. "You missed her funeral," I replied, my voice cold. He sighed, pretending regret. "It was too painful." I stared at him. "Painful for you, or inconvenient?" For a moment, his mask cracked, and I saw something raw, fear, maybe. Then he stood and said, "You're young, Lena. You don't understand how complicated marriage can be." "No," I said quietly. "You're right. I don't understand how a husband abandons his wife's grave to be with someone else." I turned to leave, but something on his desk caught my eye, a small black notebook, half hidden under papers. The same kind my mother used to write in. My pulse quickened. "What's that?" I asked. He closed it too quickly. "Work notes," he said. "Nothing for you to worry about." But I had already seen the edge of a page inside it, a familiar handwriting, delicate and slanted. My mother's. That night, when he left for dinner with his mistress, I returned to the office with the spare key he didn't know I had. The city lights shimmered through the glass as I stepped into the room. I opened the notebook carefully and began to read. What I found inside shattered me. Page after page contained letters my mother had written but never sent, pleas for truth, descriptions of arguments, and finally, a list of names and dates. It turned out my father hadn't just betrayed her emotionally. He had been siphoning money from her family's trust for years, hiding it in offshore accounts under his mistress's name. My mother had discovered everything weeks before she died. The last entry stopped me cold. "If he finds out I know, I'm not safe." My breath caught. My mother hadn't died from the sudden illness he'd claimed. She'd been silenced. My knees went weak as I closed the book, realizing the man who raised me had destroyed the woman who gave me life. I called the police that same night. The investigation started quietly, but the evidence was too strong to ignore. My mother's doctor admitted under questioning that my father had pressured him to falsify records about her death. Bank transfers linked directly to him surfaced within days. When the police finally arrested him, he still tried to act calm. "You think this will bring her back?" he sneered as they led him away. I looked him in the eye and said, "No. But it'll make sure you never hurt anyone again." For the first time, he didn't have an answer. The trial took months, and every day I sat in the courtroom, listening to lawyers twist words and memories. But I never looked away. When the verdict came, guilty of fraud and conspiracy, I felt the weight of years lift from my shoulders. The house felt lighter, the air cleaner. On the anniversary of my mother's death, I returned to the cemetery with a single white rose. The sun was setting, painting the sky in gold and crimson. I knelt by her grave and whispered, "It's done, Mom. He can't hide anymore." A gentle wind moved through the trees, and for the first time since she died, I felt peace instead of rage. I understood then that revenge wasn't about hate, it was about justice. My father's downfall wasn't just punishment for what he did, it was closure for what he took away. As I walked back down the path, I passed a couple holding hands, their laughter echoing softly through the evening air, and I realized that maybe my mother's warning wasn't meant to harden me, it was meant to protect me. That night had changed everything, not because I exposed him, but because I learned that strength isn't found in vengeance alone, it's found in the courage to face the truth, no matter how much it hurts.